Good evening. I'd like to call the City Council for January 17, 2017 to order. You please stand for invocation. I don't see Bobby, so if Nathan, if you'd please lead us.
Let's pray. Father, we're thankful for the opportunity to be here tonight. We thank you for how you're blessing our city, and we pray that you continue to do so and be with our administration, our mayor, and our folks in our safety and the police and fire and just all the employees, that you continue to bless them and be with them. We pray that you would guide us as we make decisions, and we pray that you would be with the children in this community. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Nathan. Have a roll call, please.
Councilperson White.
Present.
Councilperson Yon.
Present.
Councilperson Maples.
Present.
Council President Gill.
Present.
Councilperson Samuel.
Here.
Councilperson Rodriguez.
Present.
Let the record reflect that 6 council members are present. Councilperson Zastafny, Councilperson Hawkins, and Councilperson Owen are absent.
Thank you. At this time, before we go into our business, as the public may or may not be aware of, but council is aware of, our council attorney, Mr. Lewis, resigned his position here as city council attorney. He accepted the position as the county attorney, in which he'll be working mainly with the county commissioners. So we are in need of a new attorney, so I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to Larry Wilder as our council attorney.
Got a motion for Larry Wilder and a second. Is there any further discussion or comment? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Wilder, you got us now. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Walker.
Welcome.
Mr. Waller lives in Florida.
Okay. Can I have approval of the minutes from our regular proceedings of January 3rd, 2017?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second?
I have some additions to it. My name was spelled wrong, and I've spoke to Vicki. She's going to correct it, but it's wanted on the record.
Okay. And I'll have the corrected to sign, right?
No.
No, okay.
You'll sign these and then I'll...
So I got a motion and a second to approve the minutes with the changes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Move on to approval agenda, but I'm going to have 2 separate motions because, as you all know, I'm going to do this one first. I want to ask that resolution that was handed out is a resolution supporting the application for funding from Clark Floyd County's Convention and Tourism Bureau for the Arts and Cultural District project. I'd ask that be added to the agenda, and as you all know, we need a unanimous decision. That's why I'm going to do a separate motion, and I would like to put that in. You see where Nathan Samuels as Don Spiker. I'd like to put this resolution in before that, so this would be number 12, and then the numbers will move down. So do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do I have any other comment or question? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Then that will be added to the agenda. Now I need
I would just make a comment. In our workshop, we talked about the sidewalk project, and then we were talking about tabling or removing that until we could have some further discussion and understanding on that. So I don't mind a table, or I don't mind a remove. There's a preference to that. If there's no preference, then I'll just
I
make
think it should be removed.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I'll make a motion to remove the number 13, the second one there, until we're able to get that group together to work on that.
Okay.
And
that's with the addition, approving the agenda with the additional and the removal.
yes, unless there's any other changes we need to include on that. And that'd be my motion then.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Claims to be approved. Heather.
We have two sets, one that's parks and one that's the regular, on the regular
Do
claims.
the regular ones first.
Okay. On page 2, there's a duplicate. Near the bottom, it's for $31.86 to Sellersburg Water. So one of those is going to be removed.
Page 2. What, did you say
Page
page
2.
So council knows I did go through claims and all are in order. Thank you.
Wait a minute, and then I've got that additional.
So it's station number 4 and then station number 5? Am I looking at that correctly? It says station 5 and station 4.
Correct. The second one that's
Yes.
under the electric utility,
Mm-hmm.
that one is to be removed because it's a water utility.
Okay.
And then, if
We
you
have
all
one to
recall,
add.
we have the one up for Sam Kionis for $4,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Even?
Mm-hmm.
And that's in addition.
Yeah, out of your all special projects.
Did we, I know we had our motion contingent on UEZ giving, I believe, $2,000. Has that been?
$2,500.
For $2,500. And they did? Okay, great. Thank you.
So we will need a new total minus the 3186 and then the additional, adding the 4,000.
It is 1,276,525.18.
Make a motion to approve as changed or amended.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Now we'll do parks.
Parks is at $45,975.
And just to be clear, they had the meeting beforehand and they did sign those contracts and all that, everything on this claim,
Mhm.
correct?
And I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
A question, I know we discussed this in our workshop. Are we going to ask that we continue to separate those claims? Do we?
I didn't realize,
Yeah.
no one requested that, I don't know why that happened.
So in the future, we can move back to just, I think, having one, if that's the agreement. Yes. Thank you, Heather.
Report of the clerk.
I don't have anything this time.
Then we will move on to Les Merkley, 2017 OR warrant, an ordinance repealing ordinance 2006 OR 75 and creating a new ordinance establishing a city pride non-reverting fund, which is already passed on the first and second.
This will be final reading on an ordinance that we're doing as a result of State Board of Accounts asking that we change the name of the Beautification Committee to the City Pride Committee Non-Reverting Fund. Just a housekeeping.
Motion to approve 2017 OR 1 on the third and final reading.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Mr. Wilder, an ordinance implementing procedures for approving capital expenditure purchases for remaining calendar year of 2017 until further notice.
Yes, this is my understanding that this is your standard motion and ordinance that you prepared each year as it relates to the circuit breaker. We reviewed this prior to it being brought to the council, and here's all things are in order. So this seems to be kind of a perfunctory thing that you do each year. Until you get in place where things will change with some other legislation.
Yeah, until we get circuit breakers back.
OR2, is that right? I'll make a motion to approve 2017 OR2 on the first and second reading.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR2 in the first and second. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Which brings up, we have, I believe that Dylan will be presenting for the for this resolution supporting application for funding from Clark Floyd County's Convention and Tourism Bureau for the Arts and Cultural District project.
Yes. We are submitting an application to request funding to support our Arts and Cultural District. And as you can see in the application, it gives more details to redevelop and revitalize the area around Michigan and where the museums are and the art center currently.
Thank you. Council have any questions for
Vicki?
Dylan?
Yes, sir.
Then I'd make a motion to approve 2017 R1.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second to pass 2017 R1. Any further discussion or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank
That'll
you.
lead us into, Nathan, do you need to say anything before we have Don Spiker
Yeah,
give us the arts?
I'll just say, we'd like to welcome Dawn Spiker. She's now officially a city employee, and she's got she wants to do a couple things. One is to kind of recap 2016 for us, and then give us a glimpse of 2017, and then possibly other things, who knows. But welcome, Dawn, and thank you.
All right. Thank you for allowing me to be here and present to you tonight. What I want to do first and quickly is to present 2016, a little video snippet, a year in review. It was a great year last year. We got a lot accomplished. Last year was all about cultivating our creative culture, so this will show you all of those things that happened in 2016. After this, I'll go through the little half sheet of paper with a little button takeaway for you, which will highlight what we're about to do in 2017. And I'll very briefly touch on the strategic vision that's in front of you as well. So here we go.
Come on.
So very full year last year. Give me a second and I'll pull up what I'd like to show you for this year. All right, so for this year, for 2017, where we would like to go, this small piece of paper here has, sorry, the font is so tiny, but it has an overview of the vision of our theme. So I am going to read to you just for a second. The theme for 2017 is rich with meaning. We're calling it Kaleidoscope. A kaleidoscope is known as a child's toy, a tube with a series of mirrors at one end that reflect multiple images of colored bits of glass that move, creating constantly changing images as you turn the tube. Jeffersonville's creative landscape is ever-changing, much like the intricate images formed within a kaleidoscope. Our streets are becoming filled with a colorful mixture of public art, and those that are passionate about what the arts can do for our community are constantly rotating fresh ideas, much like the action it takes to rotate the beloved picture tube. It's becoming a pattern for our community to participate in and encourage the arts to flourish, and we pledge to continue to build upon the diverse project foundation and provide our community with programming and opportunities that are as rich and varied as the beautiful patterns exhibited within the kaleidoscope. So the kaleidoscope is where we're going this year. And with that being said, the images back there aren't as great as what you can see right here, but we're breaking it up into 3 categories this year. We're going for In the Neighborhood, which is the first category, and these are the 4 main projects that we're doing within the neighborhoods. The Sidewalk Sculpture Trail project, there's already revised sidewalks that are put in down Allison Lane. We've identified 4 pads, and on those pads will be pedestals, and on those pedestals will be art pieces, so we'll be putting out an RFP for those. The idea is that we continue doing this project for years to come, and every neighborhood gets new sculptures, and they're sculptures that are able to be moved and refreshed throughout our different neighborhoods. The second category, or the second project, is the utility boxes. We like to do those every other year. So it's the year for utility boxes this year. So I encourage you as council people, if you have a utility box close by you that you know of and you'd like to make sure something is on that box, let us know, let Nathan know, or let myself know. We can maybe identify that box for you or your constituents for this round 3. The third is the flood wall. If you've not been down to see the Nahan Fieldhouse flood wall, it's very impressive. We're going to have a dedication for that in March. But we did do a Survey Monkey last year and put it out to our community. Got over 300 responses on what types of images do the people want to see next. And tons of responses, one of which was Hoosier Hardware. I thought, okay, that's interesting. And the guys from Hoosier said that they'd be willing to contribute to part of funding the project. So we're considering that as being another panel for the flood wall. A 4th project is the tree walk mural. I know that Planning and Zoning is working actively on a tree walk, and what they'd like to do is there are 2 passageways through the flood wall that the tree walk will pass through, so they'd like to make those areas identifiable with the tree walk. So that's coming up as well.
That's actually Urban Enterprise. So.
Oh, okay. Yes, Urban Enterprise that's doing that project. So we'll be getting with you guys on that project. A second category is art in the parks. 3 major things for art in the parks is the sculptural drinking fountain. The Rotarians came to us and said, you know, we'd really like for a drinking fountain to be put in Big 4. So they got, with redevelopment, an approval to put something in Big 4 Park. And they didn't want it to just be any drinking fountain. They wanted it to be something kind of funky and sculptural. So we've been working with them on developing an RFP to artists to create a sculptural drinking fountain. And it's there's actually 3 elements to it. Where a person that's just standing can get a drink. There's a part at the very bottom so your pets can get a drink. And Nathan I feel like there's a third, and a water bottle fill-up station too. So it's an interesting unit on itself. And the Rotarians are willing to help fund that project, which is really exciting. Second Art in the Park project is Steamboat. I call it Steamboat Fest because I don't know if the Parks Department wants to go with Steamboat Days or Steamboat Nights this year. I know they're talking about Steamboat Nights, which sounds really interesting. But we're excited about pairing up with them and doing art projects like we did last year. Possibly things that are illuminated this year, though. And a third has become a staple, and people are really looking forward to it, and it's Shakespeare in the Park. We've done it the last 2 years. They contacted us again and said it's Julius Caesar this year, and so we said, well, bring it on. So they're going to be here May 19th at 7 p.m. With Julius Caesar for Shakespeare in the Park. And a third category, we call it the PEP projects, the public engagement projects. The first thing you see there is the Arts and Cultural District, and that's huge. That's the packet that we're sending you home with to kind of look through. That Dylan and I do plan on sitting down with you all at a different time so we can have some dialogue about it, because it's a big document. But that's something that's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen in 1 year. It's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of public engagement as well. So that's on our list. In the center is something we've been talking about for a while, and Nathan and I went to redevelopment to make sure that they were okay with us working on this project with them, but a marina sculpture. So this is the year that we're going to put that RFP out and make that live. And then lastly, for the public engagement projects, we're excited that Abbey Road on the river is coming, so we're going to use that as an opportunity to get our people involved in some sort of an art project in addition to that festival. I'm not going to read through all of these, but these are the ways that we're going to try to connect with our school system again this year. We were really heavy with that last year and had a great time with the kids, and I think they had a great time learning about public art, puppet making, Sugar Skull, the cultural festival, all of that was a great collaborative effort, and it brought a lot of kids out of the school and into an authentic learning environment, and we're going to do that again this year. It's hard to see that. This is, and if you'd like a copy of this, I can email this to you or stick a copy in your mailbox. But this is the Excel spreadsheet with the timeline and when we're going to put calls out, when things will be complete, and all that. So I'm not going to read that either, but that's just our statement and what we hold true to. So this is 2017 in a nutshell. The back does have projected costs. There are just projections for now. There are a lot of different funding sources that we were pursuing. Last year, we raised over $37,000 in grants and donations for public art just with our group alone, which is pretty impressive, I think. Okay, lastly. Like I said, this document right here is pretty meaty. It has, I'm just going to flip to the front page only. So when you do have time to peruse it, it has the vision and goals of the Arts and Cultural District, the benefits of the district, intensity and focus is pretty much a timeline and when we are hoping to do things and by when. District defined. The Planning and Zoning Department's working on a district overlay for us as well. The projects and initiatives is on page 5 through 8, and that's very detailed, and it has a synopsis of each project and the projected cost of each project. Targeted measures. These are all things, too, that we followed for that grant to make sure that we were answering all those questions. Basically, targeted measures are how do we know we've been successful, or what are we going to do to make sure that, you know, we're generating revenue and people are actually coming down. Page 13 is state-level accreditation. There are 7 arts and cultural districts in the state of Indiana. Our group is going to go on a field trip to a couple of those. I would invite any of you that would like to come with to see those to come with us. But we want to see how they manage their arts and cultural district because it's not just a city entity. It's usually city with private partnerships and some other public partnerships that make it all happen together. So we want to learn how that happens. State-level accreditation, too. I looked through a 30-page document and pared it down into 1 page for you to see, kind of like a checklist of what it is we need to do. And there are some nice visual attachments at the very end that show you exactly what will be in the district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Been
Good job.
busy. That was
I would just like to add and compliment you, Dawn, on there's a few pictures in here that show the school children being involved, and Dawn and I participated in a meeting. I guess it was over at the Oval Center at IUS maybe, where it was a regional art discussion. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that they commented on is to have your arts thrive in your community, you've got to involve your children and bring them up with it. And it just made me feel really positive because Dawn, being a teacher by original profession, she really connects with the kids, and it's, as you can see, I wish I knew how many kids have gone through. We probably ought to track that at some point in
I
one
could do
year.
that.
Because they get really energized, and then they want to come back and see their work. And so I just appreciate, because that takes a lot of effort to work with all those kids, I know. So thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Dawn, can you remind me when I know it's on Saturdays typically when your public art,
The jam sessions are?
yeah,
Um,
is scheduled?
We don't have a schedule yet. What we do is the Arts Alliance, the local volunteer group in town, usually sets that schedule, and then we help promote it, and then I'm an active part with that group too. They're currently working on a fundraiser, so they don't always have to ask for money, which I think is a great thing. That's going to be February 25th, so if anybody wants to purchase a ticket to go to that fundraiser and help the Arts Alliance, there's going to be an art raffle, a silent art auction, all local artists here in town, but they're trying really hard. This is their first fundraiser to make money to help with jam sessions, so they're not always asking for money. But it's that group that usually sets the jam sessions, and they usually do about 4 a year. So after that, we'll have a set schedule for jam sessions. So
Good to hear. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, next we have Heather Metcalf, an ordinance of additional appropriation.
These are the additionals that were discussed at the workshop. Do you want me to go
Yeah,
through them all
pretty
again,
much.
or?
No.
Okay.
And this will be 2017 OR 3. So,
Make a motion to approve 2017 OR 3 on the first and second reading.
do I have a second?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 3 in the first and second reading. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Heather. Larry Wilder, do you have a report for the city council attorney tonight?
That's on that room.
No, I'll trick everybody. Actually, no, I would say this. Yeah, it's just hard. So, thank you all for the opportunity to do this again. And I look around the room and I see lots of people I've represented. Still have her pig in the front office. A pig for me, yes. And some people that I didn't represent that were gracious enough to vote for me. And some people I coached in high school football, and he will correct me that I didn't really. Thank you all very much.
We do have a department head report, and I was approached by Mr. DeYark to fill us in on the SAFER grant, the assistant chief.
Yeah, I won't keep a lot of your all's
Chief, I'm
time.
sorry.
Talked to Council President Gill about the SAFER grant that's come up. For those of you all that don't know what the SAFER grant is, it's similar to the COPS grant that they just received. It's for staffing. We haven't applied for it since 2012, is that correct?
No, we applied.
13 we applied and got turned down. But we've been watching it yearly to see what's going on, so we thought we would give it another shot this year. So our goal would be to shoot for 3. It would be for fiscal year 18. I think it's awarded end of this year, correct?
And it'll be in the fall.
So it would be for fiscal 18. We're just really getting into it, but before we went real far, I wanted to bring it to your all's attention first, so that I can we'll keep you all abreast of everything that's going on. So,
Is there anything you need from us?
We'll need a letter of support.
once we get, I think it's February 10th it's due, so we'll be really crunching the numbers and all.
That's
Real
anything
soon.
like the COPS grant, it's a pretty competitive grant, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very competitive. It's normally your smaller communities, it's maybe financially strained, get them, but it's a shot in the dark, but we're going to give it a shot. So it's how it's broke down. It's a 3-year deal. The first 2 years, they pay up to 65%. The third year is 25%, and then you assume the whole thing on the 4th year. So every little bit helps.
I think usually the letter of support is signed by the council president, correct? So at this time, let's let them know that, would you all feel comfortable moving forward that I sign that letter of support supporting the application of SAFER grant?
Please do.
All right, as we get further, I'll keep you all up on it, like I said. So,
All right?
okay,
Thank you.
great, thank you all.
Was there any public comment? Anybody sign up?
I think you might need a motion, just so we'll have it.
Good idea. Can I have a,
I want us to attach something.
okay,
I'll make a motion that we put a letter of support for the SAFER grant and that you sign it. I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion?
Bruce, I would ask that once you get the figures
Yes.
of what we're kind of committing to, you just make sure and communicate that.
Got some numbers from Heather today, but I just want to give it to Lynn, and we'll make sure y'all get it.
It'll
Great.
cover salary and fringe is what it'll
Right.
cover. It won't cover equipment, but it will cover salary and fringe.
Okay,
Just like the COPS grant, very similar.
thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Back to my other question, is there any public comment? Did anybody sign up? No? Okay. So that will lead us to our council comments. So, Councilperson White.
Thank you, Madam President. We had, I just want to give an update on the TARP grant. There was some question about that, I believe, in the past, and it's my understanding that the Urban Enterprise Association will be paying for the initial phase of that, but the actual construction is scheduled for 2018, that's my understanding. That does not include sidewalks in all of Spring Street, north of 10th Street, or from 14th Street to Eastern Boulevard, but a certain section, and it includes shelters. But what I had asked in the meeting with Nathan and the TARC representative and Andy is that Andy put together a plan which would extend the downtown feel and environment all the way to Eastern Boulevard, because that's been a long complaint of the residents in that area, is that that area has been forgotten. And so we have allocated this year $300,000 for that project in the Urban Enterprise Association, and the goal was for Andy to put the historic lights and sidewalks and all together so we could have a total cost of that, and then figure out how much we can actually do based on the budget we have. So that's a part of the 3 corridors that have been identified for Spring Street downtown, and there's a midsection and the Claysburg section. And that was what Nathan and Andy had presented to this council some months ago. There's a pretty large budget that's attached to that, so we know it's going to be done in phases. The question is which phase can be done. But these are some of the things that are in the project pipeline that are the priority of that the administration has identified. And as I said, there has been some, so we got a grant, the Urban Enterprise Zone is paying for the design phase, I think, for the bigger project, and then we've allocated $300,000 for the infrastructure. That's not going to cover all of it. So I want us to keep that in mind. And the goal was not to go into the reserves, because we're not trying to dip into the reserves to do that, but we're trying to do that in a systematic way that is in accordance and in line with our budget, so that we don't dip into our reserves or a rainy day fund. But we want to make sure that the plan is there and in the queue, so to speak. The other thing is, I wanted to talk about the Public Art Commission. And I know we have to make some appointments for that. It's my understanding we're not going to do that today. But I do, I've spoken with Nathan about that before we even took our oaths, about how I thought that was important and that I wanted to be a part of that. And so hopefully when we have some further discussions, because a lot of that is in my district, the Arts and Cultural District is in my district, and I like the fact that we're doing it, and I want to be a part of making sure that happens. So I would appreciate being in those discussions when we finally figure out what our appointments are going to be.
Okay. Councilperson Young.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the 2017 art year strategic plan. I'm really excited about working with Don some more on that. There are a couple projects that are in the 3rd District, the Allison Lane Sidewalk Project. That's a big project that I'm really excited to be coming to the district. And we've got a couple utility boxes that I'm sure we'll have some input on for that as well. So just wanted to give you a shout out, and I look forward to working with you on those projects and the others that are coming up.
Councilperson Maples. Councilperson Samuel.
Just a couple things. I was contacted, as maybe some of you were, I believe Scott Hawkins was, because I communicated a little with him, and I've communicated with Les Markley about this. In Creekstone Ridge, that's the neighborhood across from Worley Soccer Complex, that small area, they had an issue with a utility company coming in and sticking in the utility pole. Their covenants basically say everything's supposed to be underground. They were really upset with the city, and they called once before, and I believe the administration was able to do something, and they removed a pole, and then they came back and added a pole again. And I've communicated with Andy, like I say, and Les, and I believe the understanding is that the city does not enforce the neighborhood covenants. But I'm not sure if we at some point need to address an ordinance that can some way deal with that or not. But I told the folks that were burning my phone up that I would bring it up and tonight, and that's what I'm doing.
We are aware of the issue. It's not necessarily putting holes for cellular use. These are popping up around. Unfortunately, the FCC laws preempt local ordinances. Years ago, we started to have cell towers, but we do believe while we cannot ban them or prohibit them, we believe that we might be able to regulate where they can be, what they might look like, height and so forth. So we've looked at Fishers and also Carmel as some guidance. They have some ordinances in place with zoning to deal with it. The problem we have right now that we not even have the next process, so there's not a way to filter these requests through. So I hope for the next couple months you'll see a request coming from planning and zoning to deal with that. Everyone needs to understand we cannot prohibit them. We'll be in court.
Sure.
And if most of these are in utility easements, does the city really have jurisdiction over utility easements to even entertain an ordinance?
I think we can regulate what to a certain extent. Everybody needs to realize they're going to be there. The question is going to be what they look like, what they look
I would
like.
think they'd have to hire a lawyer.
Okay.
I represented MCI, which tells you how long ago it was. They existed doing that kind of work, and basically lost the job because the federal courts.
The FCC?
There's a determination that there is a need, and you can't impede the need. And the other part of it is they bootstrap it into safety. In other words, they say that cell phones are such an integral part of safety. They just kind of
So,
sounds like interesting litigation for fun.
so Les, just other than me bringing it up, it sounds like you guys, the administration, is trying to come up with a plan to maybe suggest we do something or not.
And planning and zoning.
The better way to do it is to run through it as a zoning ordinance.
Okay.
That gives us more latitude
Great.
when it comes to enforcement or challenge.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for responding to me that one night, and appreciate Andy. I see Andy in the audience as well. Thank you, Andy.
He would be texted just after you texted me.
Okay, great. The second thing, the second thing I have is sometime back I commented about the concern for a deceleration lane on 10th Street across from or right there where the new auto auction is and across from Child Place, and talked about the safety concern of cars or trucks, whatever, turning left in there in the fast lane and having no way for them to stack and back up and all. And I just wanted to mention that Matt's not here, but he and I have been talking with Andy Crouch, city engineer as well. We think we are on the process of identifying some potential funding for that, and we'll probably bring that back at some point after we've all tried to work out some details. I believe the the auction is supposed to be opening up maybe in April, give or take, depending. They have quite a bit of work to do, it looks like. But, you know, that's an issue. If we're going to do something, then I'm trying to hurry that up. But depending on if we find the funding or not for that. And then my last comment, I just welcome and thank Larry Wilder for being here tonight and for agreeing to serve as our counsel. So welcome, Larry.
Hey, that's the nicest you've ever been. It's all downhill from here in.
That's right. That's right.
Councilperson Rodriguez.
I was going to welcome Mr. Wilder too. I look forward to working with him. I'm glad he's here and we're through that process. And that's it.
I forgot to mention during roll call, because I feel the public has the right to know if there certain council people aren't here. All three did contact me before the meeting. Mr. Owen had a family engagement. Mr. Hawkins is still out on vacation, and Mr. Zastani got called out of town for business late this afternoon, just so the public knows where your council people, where they're at and why they're not here. I also wanted to bring up, to get back to that, is I know sometimes it's late in notice, like Mr. Zastani was notified late by his employer that he'd be out of town, but just moving forward, if we can just show the courtesy, well, not only let the president know, but also the clerk's office, because she goes through a lot of trouble. She prints the packets, has everything set up and ready for us, and she won't have to go through that extra effort if she knows that somebody's not going to be here. And I'll also relay that little bit of information to the three that aren't here, so we can, moving forward, we can save some trees, I guess. And also wanted to remind the council, as you all know, that we supported that Sam Keones that is coming in. The Market Street Inn has agreed to host a dinner at that Friday at 5 o'clock. And it'll give the council and some other, you know, sponsorships of that week and of him being here. But I do need a head count as soon as possible, and especially if you are going to bring somebody with you, because the sooner the Market Inn knows the head count, they're going to prepare. It is going to be a dinner, so as soon as you can get that to me, I'd appreciate that. And that's all I have, other than, Mr. Well, anything we can to assist you. As you know, we are in collective bargaining, and we like to see that move along. So anything we can to assist you, to bring you up to speed on that, just let us know. Actually, Mr. Hawkins is taking the lead on that, so I think, have you met with him a couple times already, Larry?
Yes, actually, we were at, last week, we were meeting with the chief and two other individuals who were involved in the administration.
Okay.
A lot of information. Mr. Lewis actually has just sent me the template of what they have to this point, so moving forward in that manner.
That's good to
I have
know.
something else. I just thought, I don't mean to hold everyone up. There were several appointments that we didn't make at our last.
We're going to do all that next meeting.
Okay, good. Thank you.
That was going to be my next one you said.
All right. Just making
All
sure.
right. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Meeting adjourned.